Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Dr. Vic, and I'm excited to have you here as we're going to dive into some stuff that I've been sharing with clients over the past month and a half. It's been coming up in conversations and chat and so forth, and I thought, hey, great topic to share to the Mindful Experiment community and to really help you. The intention of this episode is to help you just shift perspective. At the end of the day, that's all it is. And if I can get you there, thumbs up. But if I can take you a little further, have an open mind with what we're going to discuss here. Before we get into everything, I want to share about my online course that we started, that we've launched over a few months ago now, Unlock Your Greatness. It has been a passion project and something that I really wanted to share. And it's amazing to see the students that we have who signed up, what they're saying in just the first 5, 6, 7 weeks as they're going through it, and the transformations and the ahas that they're experiencing and the clarity they're getting. So for the Mindful Experiment community, you get a nice discount. It's not marketed anywhere else. You can find it in the show notes. This class is really designed to help you really surrender to the process of life, understand what surrender really is, how we messed up this mind, how we messed up this heart in a sense. I know when I say that, put a little responsibility on you, and some people don't like that, but what we can do and how do we step into our greatness? What does that mean? What does that look like? And why is this so critically important, and so much more? For all those that are listening, please check out in the show notes. I promise you the feedback we've been getting is absolutely amazing. You get a huge, nice little discount for everything, for just being part of this wonderful community. So just wanted to share that. Let's dive in. So struggles, challenges, things we face in life. One thing that, and I want to be careful how I say this, but because if you did the online course, then you're going to sit there and go, hold up, doc, you say something different there. And I want to contradict myself, but I'm going to try to phrase this in a way. The ups and downs in life, I'm going to go the normal way. And at the end, I'm going to share what it can be and what is potentially there. Okay. The waves of life are going to happen. There's seasons of stress that we all experience. They're going to come in every way, some way, shape, or form. And the reason why it's such a struggle, the reason why it is an up and a down, is because we're looking outside to make sure our world out there is going to make us in here feel okay. That is most of everybody struggles. And the reason we do that, the reason why we do that kind of a process is because we're really not okay in here. It all starts here. Your inner world is what creates the outer world, as within is so as without. And so when you're looking at your life, then, if you're like, oh, here we go again, this and this, my kid's doing this and blah, 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 I can't stand this, or, oh, here goes my spouse doing that. Whatever you're complaining about, my business isn't happening here because of this and that, I wish it could just be like this, I'd be so much better. Catch yourself with these phrases. Right? My health, my body's just degenerate. My body's not here. I can't be, if I didn't have these types of genes, or if I didn't have this, then I'd be better. It's those if-then statements, right? If it was like this, then I'd be like that. If it was like this, then I'd be like that, right? That is the concept of you having to see the outer world be a certain way, so that you can be okay in here. And if we don't get that, this is where then we start to shift towards, well, what can get me there? And it becomes a survival mechanism. So what do I mean? What's the bridge that connects me to get to that point? And it's a consciousness level. So it's actually when I say consciousness, it's a vibrational frequency that brings up certain types of emotions, because you're so hooked that it has to be okay out there for me to be okay. And if we keep having the battle, this is when we start to shift to some form of a drug, some form of something. And it can be anything. It could be alcohol, it could be eating, it could be pornography, it can be drinking, it can be medicinal stuff like, it could be cannabis, it could be anything. It's going to be whatever is going to get you to that point. It could be the heavier stuff of drugs. It can be any of them. The point is, it's not the drug, it's what brings you to the experience of what you're trying to seek to calm the inner world. And you do that in that way. And this is what will happen when we're looking always outside to make outside okay. So that, make it be a certain way, has to be a certain way, so that I can be okay. And that's what most of us have done and are doing in our life. And if you say, well, I don't do that, you're doing it if your life is up and downs. If you're stressed some days and not on others, when you're happy, then you're sad. You're happy and you're sad. You're happy and you're frustrated. And you go up and down, up and down. It's the roller coaster of life, right? Oh, this is just part of life. This is the way it is. This is a part of this. This is the way it is. And I want you to understand that creates struggle. That leads to burnout. That leads to a lot of different things that can be affecting your life, affecting your relationships, affecting your health, affecting your business, your career, all these different things. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. You've just been trained and conditioned at a very young age to always look. I'll be real simple here. Your brain will push away and try to avoid at all costs painful experiments when you were younger. That's how it's been conditioned. And then it's going to try to hold, and I get the second part. It makes sense for me on the second part. It's going to hold on to as much as it can whatever good experience you had. So we're pushing away a painful experience and we're trying to hold on to an experience that was good, uplifting, but sometimes we even push away the good feelings. So this is where it gets a little interesting, because there's only so much that you can handle. So there's only so much of a good feeling you can have. There is so much only of love that you can experience unless you open up more to it and surrender to that. So understanding that there's, it makes sense, it makes sense in some ways. Like if you had a painful experience, you just don't want to go through that again. So you're going to do everything at your power. Your brain does this for you a lot of times without you even being aware, to push that away and not even make it hypervigilant into your awareness. So you see it. This is why if you had relationship issues and you get out of one relationship, then you're into another, and you'll notice you'll be more hypervigilant of, I've been down that path before, not happen again. No way. I know that this means that, all these things, right? I'm not saying that's not true, but there's also another side to that says, what if you're just projecting? What do I mean by projecting? You have a filter on your glasses that you're wearing. Let's say you're wearing some sort of glasses, and it makes you see things that aren't really there, right? And we do this in every area of our life. I see this with business owners when I'm working with clients, and all of a sudden these opportunities start to come up, and I can't believe these opportunities are happening. And once we get to a certain point, I'll tell them they've always been there. It's just the filter that you were looking at and wearing and doing is blocking that. All right. So there is going to be ups and downs to life per se. Okay. But here's where I wanted, my intention was to shift your perspective. I'm going to challenge you. The next time you feel uncomfortable, the next time your mind starts to race and run and starts to go off on all these different tangents and starts to create stories you probably already done that listening to this and already judging everything, some things that I may be saying. And that's your mind leading the way. And if you continue with that, I want you to know that anytime the mind starts to get uncomfortable, when the heart's uncomfortable, when you're not feeling good inside or not feeling calm and at peace, the mind starts to chatter. And here's the challenge. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose, hold, and then breathe out through your mouth. And you'll do that 4 to 6 times. That's it. That's all I want you to do. In my own course, Unlock the Greatness, I call this, and many other people have called this too. So it's not just me making this up. It's called Sacred Pause. Sacred Pause. It's very powerful. It can be a game changer. The point I'm trying to share is that anytime you go through these types of moments, you just want to breathe and give yourself a quick reset. It starts to neutralize the experience. It takes the charge that you're creating for it to come down. Now, if you have kids, it's very easily to grasp this and learn this. If you have 2-3-year-olds, or if you have teenagers, but kids in general are going to teach you this stuff. I have a 3-year-old daughter. She's always making me keep in check with this. And sometimes I fail. I do. And sometimes I fail more times than I like to admit. But I'll keep practicing. When I do, I'm like, I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to get better. And I look for the little minor changes that I'm making and the minor progresses of shift, micro changes, and to help me get to those points of where I want to be as a dad. And so the thing though is that as you do this work, what you're really doing is you're shrinking the charge, the roller coaster. Instead of being up and down, you're starting to shrink that down to get it to a certain level. And now you don't go as high up into the one way, and you don't go down as low as much as the other. And it doesn't mean that you become blah. I had one client tell me this, like, Doc, you're making me seem like I'm just going to be boring. I'm going to be muted. There's like no emotion. I said, oh, no, there's a lot of good emotion that comes from this. You're still going to have the emotions. I'm just trying to keep your mind out of it. And you can just embrace and be in the moment with what you're feeling. And sometimes those lower vibes aren't fun, especially when you first start practicing this, because our natural instinct, this is what the brain's designed to do, is keep us comfortable. Our natural instinct is to go ahead and run away to avoid the pain. And I want you to sit with that. And then some people, when things go really well, they don't know how to handle that. And I say, I want you to sit with that too and just let it go. And I know I experienced this in practice where I was always like, man, if I had this many new patients come in a month, I was like, I don't know how I'd handle that. And I didn't realize this till later. I was actually resisting the amount of flow of patients I wanted to come in my office because I wanted to make sure I was okay. And I was just like, that makes no sense. So I started working on this and I started to let go. I said, whatever's going to come is going to come and we'll be able to handle whatever shows up. And it taught me a lot, especially later in years into, in my practice, where I had to let go and just trust and know that everything was going to fall into place. And then one year we had double the highest number we ever had of patients before. And I was just like, my team looked at me, I looked at them, and I said, we got this. We'll figure it out. Make sure that we stick to our values and we stick to our principles of what this office is, how it's supposed to run. We don't want patients waiting. We want to value their time as much as anything, and we're going to be as consistent, as efficient as we possibly can. If any hiccups come along the way, here's what we do. Here's the way here's what happens if we call it getting stuck in a room. We'll have certain systems in place to keep things moving, and we have certain things that I can do. So I'll say something to the patient if they have some questions on stuff and it's going to take a little longer. I'll address as much as I can. Like we had all these things into place, and we used to laugh. We were hitting records, which we thought would have been overwhelming for us at some point, and it actually wasn't. We actually had more time than we ever expected, and we're just like, wow, okay, that really worked. And we took a step back, and then we analyzed and said, okay, well, we went through this. Were any hiccups? Well, we could have been better here or here. Here are some things that showed up here or there. I got caught here. I was talking too much there, or whatever it may be. We looked at everything and said, okay, how can we be even more efficient to help the patients and so forth? And we started to let go and know that sometimes it'd be like, hey, we'll figure things out. We'll trust the flow. And it always, I would say about 95% of the time, it worked out beautifully. I still see this in my practice today where I don't have a team at the moment and I'm doing everything solo. And so I have to allow for more time with a patient just because I have transition time, welcoming time, all these different things that come into a visit. And what's interesting is sometimes I'll have a patient come early, and let's say I double book at time, and I'll have a patient come early. That was in the next phase. And one of those, or both of those, or whatever happened yesterday, where I had two booked at a certain time, and I had another one 15 minutes later. 15 minutes later, one came 15 minutes early. So I would have been backed up a little bit. Instead, what happened is those other people accidentally had a shift to a later time, and it worked out beautifully. And why am I sharing all this? It's trusting the process. I have a lot of stories on this. I could talk about health in the same thing where, you trust the process of what's showing up. Surrender is going to be a lot better for you when it comes up to those things, because then you can choose and you can come from a place of more neutrality, not stressing or fearing or worrying about your stress. I'm not saying it's important to focus on certain things and make sure things are, at a certain level, working with a health professional and things like that. But at the same token, when we get into a state of worry and fear, it's low vibration and only makes things worse. We're adding more stress into the nervous system, which is going to put more stress into the body. That's not going to, would you agree? It's not going to let it run properly as well. So these are things that we can start to do, but it's the sacred pause that's going to be the biggest thing. And then you reset and you trust, you sit with the good, right? That's what I was sharing with the big influx of what we had. We sat with it. We knew that, hey, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not going to worry about anything. We're just going to focus here and that's it, and appreciate it. And I do this in health, right? So if it's negative or positive, I'll do this in different aspects of my life, to just appreciate where I am, surrender to the moment, don't judge it, and just know that, and I know deep within where I'm going. I have a list of things that I always say, this is what I choose to experience. And by age 50, I want to see this. By age this, I want to see that. If you judge me where I'm at right now, and I share my goals and visions of where I want to be and the reasons why, you may sit there and go, That's a tall order. That's a huge jump. People don't normally do it that fast, nor do they experience that much at that time. And for me, I'm like, no, because I'm going to surrender with whatever shows up. But I'm telling universe that I'm sharing, God, whatever you want to call it, that I'm sharing that here's what matters to me. Here's what I'm choosing. Here is I see it happening because I understand who I am. I understand the power of who I am. And I may not understand it in the full depth. I'm still learning that part, but understanding already what I do know is a lot to choose and to experience what it is that I desire. And so I have these layered out, and I have reasons behind these visions and the purpose behind it, what I want to see cultivate. And then I have to surrender to the process of how it's going to show up, because I know the universe has a better way of doing this than me. I know the universe or God, it has it all. It's 99.9999%. It knows all that, where my mind only knows 0.00001% of something. So do I want to trust what I know? Which if I look into the future, 99% of the time, I'm choosing everything based on my past. And if I choose everything based on my past, my mind's going to do this automatically. And if I do that, then how much of my future is going to be different from my past? So the key factor then is this is why surrender is so powerful. And you surrender to the experience, you let go and know that it's happening in the best way possible for you. And sometimes even better than what you can ever imagine. And I had a deal break down. And I was really like, it could have been really, really something good for me, my family. At the time, my mind was like, this will accelerate me on all levels to my goals of what I want to achieve. It would happen way faster. And I was like, man, let's see if we can make this happen. One little hiccup showed up in the process that was a little different than before. And I said, you know what? Let me see what I can do. And then I talked to some professionals and they're like, well, you can still do it. It's just, there's still a loophole to this. And I said, okay, great. Let's go that route. And then some other things showed up. Long story short, the deal fell through. It didn't work out. I walked away from it, actually. And I was like, man, I don't get it. I don't know. A month and a half later, I was able to get something that I didn't expect to get. I didn't think it was going to happen. And it did. And now I'm sitting there going, it gives me the time, the power, and the resources to do it on my own and to get to the certain marks I need to on my own. And that's when I was like, this is great. This is going to work. Now I know this is maybe why I had to go this route. We'll see. Time will tell. I'm way too early into it right now. But I know that everything's aligning for me and working for me. And that's what I want to share with you, that no matter if you're going through an up or a down, everything's working out for the greater good of you. Your job isn't to let the outside world's moment to moment. It's endlessly going to happen. This universe took 13.8 billion years to get to where we are today. You know how many things had to happen? When you go, life's going to still continue on. It doesn't matter who you are. Life will still continue on. And so the moments are still going to happen, regardless. The problem is you have no control over those moments. You really don't. The only thing you really have control over is you. And that's why I want to come back to what I was trying to share, is that you can either choose two options right now. You can either go back to what you've been doing, which is a roller coaster, most likely. I'm not saying you're doing this, but most people, it's an up and down roller coaster experience, always looking outside to make sure that it fits us so I can feel good on the inside. That's why people get addicted to sports. That's why people get addicted to drama or different things. They are looking at ways to how to ignore what they're not comfortable with on the inside. Or you can choose the other option. It's a harder path, but it makes it easier in the end. And that is, I'm going to sit with what sucks. I'm going to sit with what doesn't feel good. I'm not going to judge it. I'm just going to sit there. And when my mind starts to race, I'm going to do a sacred pause. I'm going to breathe and just appreciate the moment. Take it in, no matter what it is. And what you're going to start to do, this takes practice, but over time, you're going to build the ability to have depth, to handle the different tones in the music of life, the different tones of what the heart expresses, the different vibrations that come off. And you start to become and experience more of what this human experience is all about. And being able to sit with that, no matter how dark something could be, or how challenging something could be, but at the same token, how blissful something could be. And you can take both of that in and appreciate the moment. And now your life becomes more fuller, because the range of what we can allow our heart to handle is actually one of the keys, I think, to coming here and having experiencing being human. And that allows you to handle more and become more fuller and more well-rounded in that process. And so I hope that, hope that shifted your perspective. And I hope I nailed it on the intention side of what I wanted to achieve here. Because and if you like what I'm talking about, that's what the online course is all about, and so much more. We go into this and so much more. But you can check that out in the show notes. Again, throwing a little plug in here again, because it's been a great course. I'm very passionate about it. I put a lot of work into this. You get over probably 15 hours of video alone. And then you have guided meditations from me. Not every week, but most weeks. You got some little meshing programs that I put together for you. Specific breathwork recommendations that I know I was going to do it myself, but they're already done on YouTube. So I just pulled the ones that I knew would hit what I was trying to teach. And there's just so much more. So it really is a transformational program. And if this is resonating with you, check it out in the show notes. You get a nice discount for the program. But that's where we can find this bliss. And again, controlling us within sacred pause, neutralize, come from neutral point. And from there, that's when we stay in our power and we get to choose. And that's a whole different game than reacting all the time, because the reactions is the ups and downs. It's the chaos, then it's the bliss. It's the chaos, the bliss, the chaos, the bliss. And we go through this cycle over and over and over. And I believe we're in a state in humanity now where we always had this power and choice. But I think now is more than ever where it's like, hey, you can still keep going that route, or you can try this route. None of them are right or wrong. It's the path you choose. But if you want to experience more, not so much ups and downs, and you can find more bliss in life, it's going to be the right side. It's going to be the second option than the first one. So appreciate you so much more. If you're loving this stuff, please subscribe. Share it with someone you think can benefit from this. And if you love the podcast, share a review. It helps us get this message. It keeps us moving forward and allows us to keep going on and sharing episodes every week to every other week. It just depends what's going on each week. We may be weekly, sometimes we're bi-weekly, just depending what we have going on. But make sure you subscribe. And as always, much love to you. Appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next one.